Here's some things to think about in relation to spiritual work. Near-death experiences. This is just kind of a recap of what I focus on and how you can easily see the spirit realm if time beginning doesn't work for you. To me, time beginning, first move is all I need to know that there's a spiritual world that exists. Think about NDE experiences and some of the connections between near-death experiences and peaceful spiritual light phenomenon. I've been talking about that the past week. I'll bring that up again. Phoenix lights, again, still lights suspended over Phoenix in a geometric pattern. People that were around the lights, that were out on balconies, that were calm and just kind of hanging out with their families, didn't process it as a threat. Clearly was not, because there was no moving lights, nothing indicative of anything that'd be objectively scary. And the feeling of community, the feeling of oneness with others, the feeling of wanting to do more after the experience for others, this is consistent with Raymond Moody's. There's modern NDE people that have kind of taken over the throne. He says it himself in his book, that Paranormal, I think it's called, where he was breaking down his life's work, and he name drops some of the newer researchers that are involved, but nothing's really new in relation to NDEs, because the stories are always the same. I mean, they vary, but connecting similarities are, if you read Kenneth Ring's books and Raymond Moody's books, that's all you need to really get into to start seeing these similarities. And then Dr. Lynn Kaitai's Phoenix Lights book, there's a connection. And also Kenneth Ring's book, Mindsight, I've talked about. I don't think those clips are around anymore. An amazing book called Mindsight about near-death experiences in the blind. I highly recommend that. There's so much mystery teachings just in that Kenneth Ring book. He doesn't even aware, I'm sure, it wasn't just him. It was a study by him and somebody else, maybe 3 people. But this is peer-reviewed stuff. These are legitimate studies. But then again, I'm always speaking out against academia and academic materialism elements of it, even though it's necessary. And I do not regret attending college for 5 years. I still may go back, But this peer-reviewed study, and also Kenneth Ring's The Omega Project, these are massive projects that studied phenomenon, not just related to near-death experiences, but the Omega Project also dabbled in supernatural phenomenon such as supposed alien abductions, and in one of the big finds in that study was that there's a personality type that seems to be contacted. Let's just say that. Contacted by paranormal, contacted by what they think is UFOs. And this personality trait, this personality that normally gets contacted is more of an introverted type of individual. Well, again, stand my point here. Let's think about some connecting factors. People who were blind, they did studies on people who had never seen and people who lost their sight. The people who once saw and then had mindsight years later. Mindsight is where all of a sudden they could see a room during a near-death experience. They could now see. Now, people that have never seen before and were blind from birth didn't know what sight was. So it becomes a little more complex there of what they perceived. So to focus on the people who were once blind and hadn't seen for years, flatlined, could describe the entire room. Again, that's an excellent case for being in a soul container, a biological soul container. We're here for a purpose. And when we leave the container, we go back into nonlinear time where we couldn't even perceive what senses are. There's no more electrical, chemical, mechanism operating with your soul. It's pure clairvoyance, or whatever the term would be. So you have people who can describe sight, explain what was going on in a room, and then when the near-death experience is over, they're blind again. And then you have people who have had near-death experiences, who had sight, who after the experience all of a sudden felt overwhelming feelings of needing to serve others, and hospice work is one of the main connecting things that people do. I'm sorry, I'm tired. I'm about to fall asleep here. And so you have Phoenix lights, seeing a light phenomenon, not having a near-death experience, and after that, people want to do hospice work. You have standard form near-death experiences where when they're done, people either, a lot of times, are enhanced clairvoyantly, their minds work differently, but they want to engage in hospice work or start working in a soup kitchen, volunteer work. Volunteer work is very common, but specifically hospice work. And then you have Anita Morgioni, 2007. That's when the book was out. I'm not exactly sure when her experience happened. On her deathbed, her lungs are filling with fluid. She's got boils, cancer everywhere. Goes to the other side, flatlines, speaks to entities, wakes back up. By the hour, things start to reverse until she's completely cancer-free. So here are multiple examples of someone going to accessing the other side. This could also be torsion fields, Kozarev mirror. A lot of these guys that started messing with time ended up kind of going out of their minds, or what I believe is the DS zapped them. Kozarev was writing about these Kozarev torsion fields, waves that manipulate time, and he supposedly designed a device that could either gaze into the future or the past, or actually be transported to another dimension. And I believe Tesla went out of his mind. I don't know that much about him, but he started to go loopy the more he discovered. So you have a region, you have a dimension, and then there's aether. Like I said, I can see aether. Psychic, clairvoyant people can see this substance. This substance is running through all dimensions. The spirit substance. The spirit substance is what took over during mind sight. The residual spirit substance was mingling with the people that had NDEs, with their stream, their soul stream, and it manipulated it in a certain way. And also the contact I talk about, where you can have an extreme holographic mode where peaceful entities will allow you to stand in a little region, let's say the size of a yard. I don't know how large it can get. In my experience, it's been about the size of a front of a lawn. And someone standing outside of that cannot see what's going on inside. Another example, healing. I started right within the first 6 months of having my constant contact. I had an infection that was impacted, disappear without any antibiotics Think about all these connections. It's all coming from the same place.